Mike Tomlin has spoken about the latest. He said earlier this week, latest on Aaron Rodgers, earlier this week he was like, yep, it's a fracture. Yep, he doesn't need surgery. And yes, he wants to play this week. Yep. He has vocalized that. And he pegged Friday as an important day to see how Rodgers looks whenever he does get on a practice field, whatever he does put on his hand to protect the small, slight fracture in the wrist that he suffered in the win against the Bengals. Tom Pelissero in Hour 2 said he was not ever officially ruled out of that game because he was in the training room with the medical staff, crazy. Apparently having a back and forth about him wanting to go back in.
Wow.
This is what Mike Tomlin said last hour.
You know, I thought I saw a solid effort, but it's Friday, and so we still got some time. He was listed as a partial participant and given a questionable designation, and we'll see where the weekend leads us.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
What?
Solid effort.
You know how I feel about it. And he just roll that back. Roll that back. You tell me that solid is not a word that he chose on purpose, knowing it's not the ultimate that you can give to somebody's performance, which is exactly why I don't like the word solid. Hit it. You tell me.
You know, I thought I saw a solid effort, but it's Friday, and so we still got some time. He was listed as a partial participant and given a questionable designation, and we'll see where the weekend leads us.
He was higher register. He's nodding his head. You know, you could tell he was giving the head nod of like saying that it could be better.
Not a good sign, yeah.
Like he would want to see better from his starting quarterback that for a division-leading team walking into a very tight spot in Week 12.
That might be the first time I see your point on
yes!
Because usually I don't really. I'm like,
thank you.
That one I got.
Wow.
Could have been better.
Right?
It was just solid.
Right?
Good point.
That's why don't say to me, hey, Rich, solid show. Hey, Rich, you're a solid host. Hey, Rich, you know, that opinion you had was solid.
Speaking of YPs, that's a you problem.
I understand that, but I think I'm also pointing out why it should be a YP for you.
Nah.
We don't have to reinvent the wheel.
We don't.
Exactly. We don't have to reinvent language. Solid. That's cool.
But, you know, they do have
Solid.
Mason Rudolph going in there.
Might be
listen,
better.
Mason Rudolph 100% can
you just
do
went
what,
higher right there.
No. Hold on. Okay. Let me rephrase that.
I heard a glass break in the back. You would
Let me start again. Mason Rudolph can 100% do what Davis Mills is doing, what Mac Jones did. I've seen it. 100% he can go into Chicago and win this game for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let Rodgers rest up. And it's 100%, I think, 100% what would be happening this week if it was at Miami, at Cleveland. This is at Chicago, though, okay? This is important for Aaron Rodgers to give this a whirl because he's not going to get a chance to suit up in an NFL uniform and go into Soldier Field with a division leader in an important game again.
Yeah, but that shouldn't have any effect on the Steelers. Like, they shouldn't even care about that. It should be.
That is correct. Although they do want to make the guy who is their quarterback for this year, if not maybe next, happy. And that has always been what the Jets would try to do for 2 years and what the Steelers are doing and what anybody who does have Rodgers under center or in shotgun for the rest of his career, however long it goes before he goes in. What's your assessment of the offense so far? What has ailed it and what is fixable in your estimation, Jerry?
Well, one of the things that's ailed them, Rich, is their third down conversion rate. You know, you look at the previous 6 quarters with Aaron Rodgers. They converted 4 of 18 third downs. And then Mason Rudolph comes in the second half. He converts 5 of 6, including 3 of 3rd and 11 or longer. And so the consistency, the rhythm on offense has been missing. There's been no flow to the offense. Oh, there have been examples of it, no question. But I think the overall consistency of what they want to do and what they've been able to do has been the biggest thing holding them back. You know, the 340 yards they had against the Bengals, were the most they had in 3 games. And it's just been too up and down offensively. Aaron Rodgers has been very good, witness the 19 touchdowns. Very few interceptions, very few turnovers, of course. And yet their rhythm and flow the last 3 games, or certainly their last 10 quarters with Aaron Rodgers, hasn't been what they would like, despite the fact I know he threw 4 touchdowns against the Indianapolis Colts, but that was somewhat the byproduct of a short field and all the takeaways that they had. But nonetheless, he made them pay for it. But the offense that game, 225 yards. A week later, 221 yards. Rich, that's the second lowest 2-game total they've had since 2019. That goes back to when Randy Fittner was a coordinator. So they have struggled offensively.
Well, what's the mood there in that town, Jerry? Because the up and down play since the 4-1 start only lends credence to any concerns that this season is going to end similar to the way the last several seasons have ended, either short of the playoffs. Making the playoffs and short of a playoff win, Jerry. Right? The Ravens are right there. They haven't played the Steelers yet. They've won 4 in a row. The whole world thinks they're going to run the Steelers down. And I know Tomlin doesn't care what the whole world thinks. But the world of Pittsburgh, what's the mood there right now?
Yeah, Rich, I think there's a lot of trepidation there. That 3.5-game lead that the Steelers had on the Ravens is all but gone. And if Mason Rudolph doesn't come in the second half and preserve that victory, and I know they got 2 defensive touchdowns as well, then all of a sudden they're tied with the Ravens at this point. 2 more games against the Ravens. They have Buffalo after the Bears. They still have to go to Detroit. And you look at the 4 of the last 6 years in December, they've had 3-game losing streaks. Now I know it was a bit of an extreme anomaly last year when they played the 3 best teams in 11 days in December. But that has been a repeated pattern for them. And these fans, the people around town, they know it. And that's why, there is a lot of trepidation about what's going to happen. When they were 4-1, I don't think people were making their Super Bowl reservations. And then, again, they lose Sunday. That's to the Bengals. That was 4 of their last 5 they would have lost. So, it would have been an early season, quote, decline for them. And I don't think anybody's doing cartwheels yet about where the Steelers are headed. And as you mentioned, Rich, they're quick playoff exits. They haven't won. They've lost their last 5 playoff games. Mike Tomlin's had 8 one-and-dones. That's 1 shy of Marty Schottenheimer, who has the record of 9. And
today, the energy around the Steelers Nation is different. It is charged, emotional, and filled with that familiar mix of pride and defiance that only Pittsburgh understands. After the latest episode of First Take, the national conversation around the Steelers exploded once again, and this time the debate lit a fire that every fan needs to hear. The question on the table was simple. Between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Chicago Bears, which team is more likely to lose control of its division? And the initial answer caught a lot of people off guard. Some analysts claim the Steelers are the team most likely to fall off. They pointed to inconsistency, calling Pittsburgh a roller coaster team. They pointed to the last few seasons, saying the Steelers often fade as the year goes on. They even said the Bears, Packers, and Lions are more trustworthy than Pittsburgh right now. But then the show flipped upside down because one analyst refused to accept that narrative. He pushed back hard. He questioned the Bears' recent wins, calling them the result of circumstances rather than dominance. And then he unleashed the biggest moment of the entire broadcast, the line that made the crowd react and the internet buzz. He said with full confidence that the Pittsburgh Steelers will win the AFC North and will represent the division in the playoffs. No hesitation, no doubt. He simply said, "Mark it down." And that moment right there is what defines the spirit of the Steelers organization. While some people focus on inconsistency, others recognize culture, leadership, toughness, and a franchise that refuses to fold when the pressure rises. And it did not stop there. The conversation shifted to Mike Tomlin and the leadership that drives this team year after year. They highlighted one of Tomlin's most powerful quotes, a statement that perfectly summarizes the identity of Pittsburgh football. Prioritize will because will exceeds skill from time to time. That is what the Steelers are built on. Not hype, not flash, not temporary momentum, but willpower, discipline, commitment. And when they mentioned Nick Saban reinforcing the idea of being addicted to the process, it became clear that no matter what the outside noise says, the cultural foundation in Pittsburgh does not crack, it does not shake, it does not bend. The debate on First Take exposed a split. Some analysts genuinely believe the Ravens with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry will take over the division. Some believe the Steelers cannot maintain their lead, but others see something deeper. They see a team that knows how to win ugly games, a team that survives physical matchups, a team that thrives in chaos, a team that, regardless of what critics say, always finds a way to stay alive when it matters most. And history proves it. Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season. This franchise does not crumble. It adjusts, it battles, it pushes through. So when an analyst on national television declares that the Steelers will win the AFC North, it is not just a hot take. It is a recognition of what this team truly is. It is a bet on culture, a bet on defense, a bet on the process, a bet on Pittsburgh being Pittsburgh when it matters the most. And we all know what happens when the Steelers enter December and January with people doubting them. They become dangerous. They become unpredictable. They become the version of themselves that opponents fear the most. So let me speak directly to you, the fan watching right now. This debate is just beginning. People are questioning, predicting, doubting, and arguing. But inside Steelers Nation, the energy is different. We do not care about excuses, narratives, or national doubt. We care about results. We care about identity. We care about the black and gold spirit that always rises at the right time. And if the Steelers continue building momentum, continue leaning on their culture, continue trusting the process, then the AFC North is not slipping away. It is becoming a statement. Now, I want to know your opinion. Do you believe the Steelers will take the AFC North like the analysts predicted? Do you think Pittsburgh will silence the national media once again? Leave your thoughts in the comments, subscribe to the channel, and stay locked in with Steelers Nation Wire for every update, every reaction, and every moment of this run.